open up that circles, that PSD, the work we did last time, and please open it up in Photoshop. Okay, and as you can see, here is my floating left toolbar, and I'm just going to merge it over here. And here is my other floating panels, and I can try and merge it. Of course, I'm probably not going to get it. I don't know. So at any rate, maybe if this way, I guess not. Alright, well anyways, it is what it is. It's where it's at, so we'll just leave it there. And I may actually keep it to the outside here. So, alright. At any rate, so we've got the different circles that we created beforehand. And one of the things about the layers palette is that you can do several things with it. Now, one of the things we've been discussing is this area right here, the effects panels, or the styles. Okay, so you can use this area down here under layers. Okay, you get all these little effects, or you can go up to here. Okay, go to layer and then layer style if you'd like, and you've got the same kind of effects over here. Whichever is easiest for you to use. Now, what I want you to do is, for each and every one of these circles, I'd like for you to create a style. So let's go ahead and do this. So again, you can choose your own effects, but I'm going to choose the blue one. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on drop shadow, obviously the more familiar one. And as you can see, I can actually see the drop shadow already. Now, the immediate concern came to mind is, how do we know which one is circle? I actually thought this layer number 8 would be this circle here. Well, let me tell you, this thumbnail here will tell you a lot. It not only shows a miniature size of the graphic, but also tells you where it's at. Obviously, this blue here is in the lower right hand side. Same thing with this blue right here. So you can kind of tell. You can also click on the eyeball, okay, and make the layer invisible, and notice it disappears. And when you want to start again, make it reappear. So I'm going to start with the upper left, and that would be this blue right here. And what you can do is rename the layers to your liking. So in other words, if I double click on the layer name, okay, I can just say first row, first column, I guess. There we have it. And that way I'll know instantly that this is the first row, first column. I can do that as I go along. I don't have to do it all right now, but this would be first row, second column. Okay, there we go, right there. Alright, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the first row, and then what I want to do is click on FX and click on drop shadow right down there. Okay, so select drop shadow if you could. Okay, and already you should see a drop shadow and it's pointing straight down. Well, that's because the angle here is straight up. And as I had mentioned before, it's very rare for angles or drop shadows to be pointing straight down, except within the 12 o'clock hour during the day, during noontime. So somewhere between 11 and 1 o'clock, that's when you could possibly see straight shadow. Of course, a 12 o'clock shadow is straight down. That's when the sun's straight up above our heads, depending on how sunny it is. Okay, but usually it's angled. Okay, that's what people are used to seeing. So if you keep angling it, you'll notice that the shadow changes. Now the other thing is the distance. Okay, so again, there's no real right way. You just have to eye things and figure things out for yourself. Size kind of like expands the outer edges of the shadow. Spread is how far it kind of goes out, and distance, and the distance is from. So I can actually put the distance way down here. See that? Obviously a shadow that far in doesn't make any sense. So the distance from the object, you want to keep it as close as possible, something like that, and then press OK. And obviously you've got this effect here. It tells you this layer here that's created, that means this layer has an effect, and it has a drop shadow effect. Alright, so now let's go on to the next one. And what you can do also is click on, let's see what blending options does. Okay, so blending options gives you everything. Okay, you notice that we already have drop shadow here. Let's go ahead for this one. Notice I already put in a drop shadow. Let's select outer glow. And as you can see right here, you have an outer glow. And again, you control it by you control the spread. Alright, and there you have it. And at any rate, that's how you do it. So you can also control the color if you like. You can control the opacity, maybe make it a little bit more darker. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and well, let's do a third one, and notice that the effect actually appears there as well. So now I'm going to do the third one, okay, and I'm not going to bother renaming it, so we kind of know where we are. I can always click on the eyeball and see where I'm at. Click on again the blending options wherever that shows up, and let's do inner glow. Let's see what that does. Okay, so as you can see, the thumbnail kind of tells you what it's going to be like. And so what you want to do with the inner glow, click on this, and with this color you can't really see there's an inner glow, so I'm going to give it a blue. Click on that and give it a blue, and you could kind of see it. If you notice, you can kind of see it a little bit. So I'm going to reduce the noise, which kind of gives it that speckle effect. Then the choke, notice how, kind of a bad term they use, but they use it. And then obviously you can do this. Alright, and the contour, I never really quite understood that, but I guess if you want to play around with it and see where it does, it just kind of affects the overall, I'm again, like I said, I'm not a expert in this part, but it kind of affects the overall look of the shadow there. So opacity, so again, opacity, the more higher the number, the more you see it. So, and you can go precise if you like, or softer if you like. Again, there's no science to this. It's just, and you can have center or edge. Okay, so again, there's no science to this. You just kind of do it. Alright, so go ahead and do the rest, and I'm going to pause this video. And what you want to do, of course, is I want to see different effects. So please don't use the same effect twice. You will be turning this in, and so in this case you may want to choose, whoops, I kind of messed up there. So you may want to choose, like, say we chose drop shadow, outer glow. Let's go ahead and choose bevel and emboss. Okay, let's try that. But first, obviously, you have to select the ball first, okay, or the circle. And now you choose the effects, and I'm just going to choose bevel and emboss right there. There we go. Okay. All right. So move forward. You see the nice bevel already. Gives it more of a depth. Kind of looks like a button there. And then, of course, you can choose a shadow, how it appears. Alright, and it kind of looks like it's affecting the other balls over there, so take that into mind. Alright, I'll see you in a few minutes. Go ahead and do the rest of the circles, and I'll be back. Welcome back. So while I was gone in a short while, you notice, okay, that I put all sorts of effects. And when you turn in this project, every one of these layers have to have a different effect. Okay, so there's a total of 9. Okay, I'm going to move this up so you can see 9, 8, 7. There you have it. Every one of them has a different effect. Okay, and then of course the final one is a background, but we're not worried about that. Okay, so now the next thing I'd like for you to do is create guides. Okay, now what is a guide? Well, you need to have the ruler up here. Okay, that's what you're going to do. You're going to need rulers. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the ruler. Okay, and in order to find the ruler, go to View and Rulers right there. Okay, so go up to View and go down to Rulers. There you have it. Alright, so that's the way to do it. and you've got a ruler going across, ruler going down. Doesn't matter what the numbers are. So click at the ruler and guide the guide down. There you go. Put that there. And you notice that the guide is white, and that is not going to work. So, but this gives me an opportunity to show you how to control that. Now you notice that when I move the cursor over the guide, it turns into like this weird straddling cursor. So I'm going to, well, I'll just leave this here. Now let's go ahead and try and fix that. Okay, so I'm going to go to Photoshop, Preference, and by the way, if you have blue, you're okay. If you have blue, you're okay. So I'm going to go to Photoshop, Preferences, and then I'm going to go to Guides and Guide Slices, Guides, Grids, and Slices. And for canvas, okay, I'm going to choose a different color. I'm going to choose blue. There we have it. Okay, right now it was white, as you can see here. It used to be white, but I want to color it and change it blue. Alright, so the rest we'll kind of figure out later. Okay, but when I'm clicking OK, notice my canvas turns to blue, my guide turns to blue. Okay, there you have it. And now pretty much I'm going to drag from in until I create a tic-tac-toe. Okay, so there you have it, and that's what I'd like to see. Okay, so now we got a tic-tac-toe situation. And now I get to introduce you to the text tool. The text tool is right here. Alrighty. And it's a really useful tool. So let me show you. Click on text. And there you've got 4 different options here for the text tool. You've got horizontal, you've got vertical, and then you've got this weird kind of masking tool. We're going to ignore that for now. We're just going to focus on the horizontal type tool. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to select the horizontal type tool. And then what I'm going to do is pretty cool. Watch this. I'm going to click on the blue. Well, first of all, let's make sure a couple of things. You guys got to understand what the contrast is. Now, you can choose, I would recommend with the colors I have here, white will work well except for this circle here and maybe even this circle here, and white doesn't really go good with yellow. So when we get there, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon right here, this little black and white icon. I'm going to click, and I notice that the white is the background. So I'm going to click first here and then here. See that? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click, actually before I do that, because I'm noticing a lot of things, up here is the options bar. So I'm going to find out what kind of font it is, what style of font, oops, and then also the size in points. So to be safe, 125 is pretty huge, so I'm going to go down to say 30 and just kind of seeing, and I guess I don't like that. I'm going to use, let's see a good one. I like this font right here. It's called Anthro, but let's use different fonts. I'm going to start with Anthro. Okay, and just to build up your spirits, let's go ahead and write what, well, about yourself. A lot of you are really cool. Okay, or how about maybe some of you are good looking. I know I am. So, and, or some of you just might be very friendly, very loving. Okay, and then you highlight. Okay, and you can increase the size. You can also choose, well, there's no other option. I guess it only comes with light. But then you can increase the size. And there's several ways you can do this. I can go from 30 to 36 and watch what happens. It gets bigger. I can also scrub, and what I mean by scrubbing is if I move the cursor over the T here, big T, little t, and just kind of drag it, look how big it gets. See, it's kind of moving along. And so what I'm going to do now is use the move tool to center it. Alright, so that's loving. And now I'm going to click on another text, and here it is right here, by the way, in the layers palette. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is come up with another one. Now, before you click, and maybe some of you already clicked, and that's okay, you're going to see this thing here called lorem what is it? I can't even see it. Lorem something. I kind of ignore it. Ipsum. That's just a placeholder. And so go ahead and delete that if you see it there. So what I'm going to ask you to do is click on the text again, and this time you notice that the other thing you have over here, the other options besides size, you have sharp, none, smooth. So select smooth because that'll give you a smooth kind of cursive effect. In other words, it smooths out your letter. You can see that if you click on crisp, it's almost like a handwritten kind of in other words, it doesn't really look great, but it has its purpose. Feel free to do every one of these, okay? So let me show you here. Let's just go ahead and write something here. And first of all, let's start off with alignment. And in this case, the best way to do this is put the cursor in the center. So you want to align it in the center. Okay, and obviously what's happening here is that let's go ahead and click on another text tool. So I'm going to click right here. Notice the alignment is in the center, and there's our lorem ipsum. So I'm going to scrub left, make sure it fits in there. Okay, and I'm going to give it, now if I want to give it a different color, I can by selecting this color picker here. And obviously let's just choose the dark one, dark color, and I can click in it and see what it looks like. And then I'm going to choose a different color. So I'm going to choose, like, say I like this right here. Okay, there I have it. Okay, and then what describes me? I think I'm kind of generous. Okay, did I spell generous? Yeah, I spelled generous right. And then I can go ahead and increase the font. Okay, make sure that, okay, the word generous is there, so you may have to click out and click back in the layer, okay, to do more to it. And notice how I can now use the move tool. Here's the move tool, and bring it down a little bit. Okay, all right, and then what we can do at this point is add a drop shadow or another effect. Okay, so look at this. While this layer is selected, I can go to FX. Okay, let me go up here. I can go to layer, layer style, and click on drop shadow. Okay, and there it is, the drop shadow appears. So I can go down a little bit more. Okay, and you'll notice that kind of it affects everything here. So unfortunately, so there, it's hard to see the drop shadow, isn't it? So let me go back here. If you double click on that, on where it says effects drop shadow, double click on that, and the dialog box appears. And unfortunately, drop shadow is one of those that kind of affects every one of. So opacity, let's go ahead and higher opacity. There it is right there. So maybe not so much distance, maybe not so much spread. At any rate, it's affecting kind of other things. So we'll just leave it at there. And then, or you know what, you don't have to have an effect, but maybe put one or two. But I do want to show you this. If you highlight this, okay, I want to show you these options right here. It says here smooth. Right now the text look pretty smooth. But if I highlight it and I choose crisp, okay, it may look different, it may not. But none. Okay, so let's use a regular text. Let me go to the next one here, because it doesn't, I mean, I see the difference. You're not going to see the difference. But I'm going to go to the next one. So I'm going to click out and then click here in the third one. I'm just going to click here. Okay, and let's choose, I'm going to choose a typical font, Arial, which is very typical font, and I'm going to scrub so that it fits. There we go. Now watch what happens if I choose crisp. Okay, it's hard to see, but you will be able to see it in your end. Okay, if I highlight again, I can put sharp. Okay, again, you see a little bit of a difference, but at any rate, I'm just going to go ahead and click smooth because I like smoothness. And what else am I? I am a teacher. Okay, and I'll keep that there. Okay, and I can actually make it bigger like this too by pressing Control T. Control T can also, you can also use the handles to increase, but you can also do things like this too if you like. So once again, Control T. Alright, so there it is right there. You can also do something crazy like this. Look at this. You can put a colon and you can put a smiley face. Okay, give it a color. Give it like a yellow color. Increase the font. There you have it. Okay, and now what you can do is if you happen to get these handlebars, you can rotate it. See that? Pretty dope. There you have it. A smiley face. And don't be afraid to use that. Alright, but go ahead and finish up. We'll stop this recording and we'll be back. And this is what I came up with. Okay, so I've got all these, and a couple of them I have effects. As you can see under helpful, I put the satin effect. I'm loving, generous, amazing, dad, fair, imaginative. Okay, so that's me. Alright, hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed it. See y'all later.